What's up, all my movie-loving maniacs? This your boy Bankful B of the Lassiter Factor, and I'm back with another TV review. Cobra Kai not only just wrapped up its third and final part of the season, but it just wrapped up the entire series, period, and I spent basically the weekend watching all of it, so let's review. Like I said, part three of Cobra Kai season six is basically the final part of the season, in which, in this particular part, is basically the aftermath of the death that happened at the Saikai Taikai. Everybody's dealing with it in their own way, and they decide to continue the championship of the Saikai Taikai. And if you watched my review of both part one and part two of this current season, well, final season, I should say, you know that I have not officially, at least I didn't rank the first two parts. I wanted to wait until all three parts were released so I can assess the show as a whole and judge it as a whole season on its own merits. I'm not going to take you through the entire plot of this entire series. I mean, if you made it this far, you know what the series is. It's basically a spinoff of the Karate Kid movies, in which Johnny Lawrence, he's still clashing with Daniel LaRusso, but throughout the series, they come together, they form their own dojos, and eventually work together to take out Kreese and Terry Silver, and now they're at the Saikai Taikai, and then what happened at the end of part two happened, and now here we are. Now that all three parts are together, the series has officially wrapped. How do I feel about the season as a whole? I mean, it does have its give or take, but overall, I thought this season brought the entire series full circle. What do I mean by have its give and take? I mean, hey, this show was already getting a little out of hand to begin with. I mean, with all the fights and all the melodrama and all the aspects of the shows that just don't make sense in a real world context, but you just accept it here because, hey, it's Karate Kid, baby. Always loved, respected, and admired this show because, to me, this show as a whole is a masterclass on not only doing nostalgia right, but continuing a franchise. As for part three, I mean, obviously, the death at the end of the Saikai Taikai at the end of part two did happen, and it made people feel some type of way. Some people feel bad about it, and I'll get to how it affected the most in a little bit, but overall, I'm not really a fan of how they just brush it off. I mean, yeah, it's a month later and everybody has some time to process it, but then Terry Silver, he just comes back out of nowhere and he's like, look, let's continue this on our own terms, and for what's his name that killed himself at the end of part two. So this particular part did reveal what we've all suspected, is that Terry Silver is sick and he's literally lost everything. His wife, his family, he has nothing, and so karate is all that he has left. So he's basically lobbying to finish the Saikai Taikai just so that, this is all he has left. And of course, Daniel LaRusso or Johnny Lawrence, they agreed, and so it continues. Side note, I did not realize that the guy running the Saikai Taikai, and we even seen him throughout this current season, Iceland coach from D2 the Mighty Ducks. I did not realize that. Tournament's back on, but as for Cobra Kai, back overseas, Kim Dong-un and John Kreese, they go back to her father, the master of Cobra Kai, and all his teaching. But of course, this is affect them the most because it was somebody on their own team that got killed, and of course, he actually does feel some remorse for what happened, and so the master, he orders for Kim Dong-un to basically take Kreese out, to which Kreese not to, and she ends up killing her own granddaddy, which I did not expect. But aside from that, I mean, she committed literal murder on her own family, but overall, it just gives her a chance to start fresh and start Cobra Kai the right way. And tells Kreese to, you're out, you're no longer part of Cobra Kai, but you should make amends with all your wrongdoings. I like how this part, it does give closure to some things that were set up either seasons ago or set up in this current season. Like Chosen, he finally gets some closure on Mariko, and she loves him, but only as a friend, which breaks his heart. But then that gives him a chance wine tasting with Daniel LaRusso and his wife, and that's where he meets Elizabeth. I'm blanking on her last name, but you know her from Saved by the Bell and Showgirl. So basically, she plays a tarot game with him, and then she basically reveals all these things that could possibly happen in the future, including him hooking up with someone that he did not expect, which I'll get back to in a little bit. Saikai Takai is back on. Robbie, he's training with some VR equipment to help him beat, what's his name, that's part of Terry's team. Sam is training with Tori and convincing Tori that she should get back into the tournament, but Tori, she feels guilty over everything that has happened and has ruined her relationships, but she does anyway. Another reunion with some of the other former Cobra Kai members from back in Johnny's days, and it's the pastor one. And the pastor one, he even marries Johnny and Miguel's married in the hospital. We even get a reunion between that same Cobra Kai dude and Daniel LaRusso. It's just amazing. Like, you're all grown up, and back in the day, y'all were fighting, but now y'all more mature. And I thought that was just a beautiful thing, right? Gil's mom finally gives birth to the baby, starting a new family with Johnny Lawrence, and it's just, again, full circle and a clean slate for everyone involved. In the next episode is basically the restart of the championship, in which it's Robbie versus the male champion on Terry Silver's team. And I like this episode because we get a sobering speech from Daniel LaRusso in which he tells Robbie that, he's basically proud of him of how he was able to adapt. He turned his rival into his best friend. He made amends with his dad. He walked away from Kreese and Silver even when he had to do it himself. He has adapted from every step of the way. But of course, the fight that he was in didn't end in a good way, for Robbie gets injured. And the next day is for the girls' champion. She forfeits, and Daniel Russo, he has no problem with that because the night before he had a drink. He is fighting alongside Mr. Miyagi, and again, it's like fake Miyagi, but it does make for a cool fight scene and makes for some good fan service in which we see Daniel and Mr. Miyagi fighting side by side, which is something that we've all wanted to see, but obviously for unfortunate reasons it could never happen. But at least we got it here, even if it's a deep fake Miyagi. That's when he gets the most important lesson in the stream, in which you fight so that you don't have to. It's learning when to not fight. And that's when Daniel LaRusso, he agrees with Sam not to enter the. It's not so simple for Johnny, for which fighting is all he have. And then, but of course, earlier in this episode, Kreese, he really did try to make amends with Johnny for what he did, especially on this particular day, in which that was one of the worst days for Johnny, and how that messed Johnny up emotionally and mentally and traumatically. This was a really good scene. This is probably some of the best acting I've ever seen from William Zupka in this show because, like I said, it's the two of them. They finally healing and recognizing Kreese, realizing the mistakes he made and trying to do right by Johnny this time and for good. With Miyagi-Do out, not only does he take back Cobra Kai, but he also brings back his two champions that he started out in the beginning of this series with Miguel and Tori. Like I said, full circle. The series started with Cobra Kai and Johnny, and now it's going to end with Cobra Kai and Johnny. Everything Johnny went through with this show and everything he had to learn, he's starting Cobra Kai off the right way. So the second to last episode, everybody's all training. Get more moments like this, which is reminiscent of the first few episodes from season 1, in which this is how Miguel and Johnny met. Even thanks Daniel and his wife for everything they've done for her and realizing her mistakes and realizing what she's gained from all the experiences. First fight is between the two ladies, and Tori Nichols, she struggles at first, but then that's when she gets some words from Robbie in which he tells her that he loves her and, hey, no fucking mercy. She wins his fight, but there's still a tie between the two teams, in which that will be settled between the two senseis, in which Johnny Lawrence, he gets to compete for the first time in years and redeems himself he does. And with the help of Daniel LaRusso, too. I was surprised with the way they ended Kreese and Silver, in which the two of them, they meet one last time on the boat, and Kreese sets the boat on fire, and the boat just explodes, and that's the end of them, and they're never heard from again. But, hey, it's good character development for Kreese and a good way to end him. There's peace all in the valley. Chosen, he goes to Kim Dong-U, and they start something, and he helps her with Cobra Kai. There's peace all in the valley, and it's just surprising how far this show has come from being a streaming show on YouTube Red, and to see no matter how crazy this show has gotten, it was still entertaining. And like I said, to me, this show is a masterclass on how to continue a franchise. I don't know what's in store for Karate Kid Legends, which comes out in 3 months or so, but I just can't wait for the next chapter of the Karate Kid because, hey, Cobra Kai never died. I ain't gonna lie, I am gonna kind of miss this show, but hey, all good things must come to an end. With all 3 parts out, and because of how they ended everything on a meaningful note and how they brought everything full circle, I'm gonna give Cobra Kai Season 6 a mid heart eyes emoji. Thank y'all so much for watching. Have you seen Cobra Kai Season 6, or have you seen this show, period? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. This is your boy Bankful B of the Lassiter Factor. Stay safe, wash your hands, peace.